Okay, everyone, welcome back. So we have a ton more news and information about the XENOVERSE 3. You will not believe how much information has come out in the last 24 hours. Let's just look at some of the most important stuff because there's a lot to go through here. We have an interview as well with the producer. But first, we have this one here from this particular article, which is about the Summer Game Fest preview. This was published 23rd of June, so just literally like less than 2 days ago. So it says here something quite interesting. It says the following. For those who may not know, Dragon Ball Xenoverse 3 is set 200 years after the events of Dragon Ball Z and 148 years after Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. It takes place in a whole new unexplored world called H1000, featuring much more futuristic and advanced cities. You will be able to create a character with a ton of customizability and choose between the various races. Yes, with Bio Android and Kaioshin being newly added races. So we're gonna have Bio Androids, Kaioshin, in some of the gameplay we've seen already that you can also be a Frieza race. You can be what else we have there? Boo. Also, you can also have Boo races as well. So they're adding even more races to the game, which is awesome, right? Besides the new races, the previous 5 races are also getting deeper and expanded transformations. You're part of the Great Scion Squad, and you'll fight alongside allies through the story. And then we're gonna go for the next one here. So we have some more information here. Xenoverse 3 is confirmed to have crossplay. It says clearly here in the interview, it says the following. Can you share any of the broad philosophies regarding the roadmap? And it says quite clearly, Hirano, the producer, says the following. While I can't detail specific seasonal content, our structural vision is completely locked in. The implementation of full cross-play across all systems is our absolute priority. We want to remove all platform barriers so that the global community can seamlessly log in, play together, and essentially live inside H1000. That's amazing. That means that basically doesn't matter how you play on PlayStation, PC, what's that? What is it? Xbox, Switch 2. I believe is going to be a little available for Switch 2 as well. You will be able to play on any console together with everyone, and that is freaking amazing. Then we have some more stuff here. The producer Hirano also confirmed that the game will be 20 to 30 hours in terms of the story mode content on release. Now, of course, as you can imagine, they will be adding even more additional story stuff and DLCs, as you can imagine, like after release. And yeah, this game is going to get tons of content for many years, maybe like over a decade. Who knows, right? And then we have this particular interview here, which is this one is quite expansive to be honest, and it's quite cool because they have said from the get go that the development is split 50-50 between the single player story and online sandbox. Now that's interesting. Well, online sandbox. So does that mean it's going to be an actual open world? I don't know, man. It looks interesting, right? Now, we have here the game is set in H1000. The story takes place in West City, which is a major hub for the future setting. Also have here, and then we have different allies, including Brett, Lilica, Rom, and Tap. All right, we have the following, some more questions here. So, um, this is the response here. What is the significance in setting the game in H1000? It's a very important question, right? Why go with specific year rather than say 300, 500 year after the earliest titles? First off, I cannot overstate Akira Toriyama sensei's immense involvement in the development of H1000 itself. From the overall worldview to the new character designs, he collaborated with us almost in every aspect, laying the foundation of this game's sandbox. We wanted to jump into the future because Universe 1 and 2 focused heavily on traveling to the past to fix the history. For the third entry, we wanted to look forward. Xenoverse has always been about delivering a completely new Dragon Ball experience that people haven't seen before. Setting it hundreds of years in the future provides an entirely unknown territory for the fans and for us as creators to explore. Can you talk about the technology has progressed in the universe over the hundreds of years? To clarify, I mean the actual in-universe technology, right? I can't reveal anything just yet, but if you look closely at the gameplay and trailers, you can spot glimpses of systems like soul switching and soul assist. The future world has progressed significantly, and there is a concrete logical backbone to why things are happening the way they are. These mechanical shifts tie directly into the original characters are swapping with iconic roster fighters and why your custom player avatar is interacting with this world. A lot of these unique ideas came straight from Toriyama Sensei, and they serve as major narrative beats you will uncover. That's quite interesting. We have were there any specific story drafts or concepts left by Toriyama-san sensei that you feel you could only be told within the structure of Xenoverse 3? Yes, absolutely. The core setting are foundational concepts he provided served as the guiding axis for the entire team. We spent a lot of time brainstorming together to flesh out those ideas. It is incredibly exciting material, and because Xenoverse is a game heavily focused on by its community, we want players to experience and live out the stories together online. How central is the multiplayer focus on Xenoverse 3? I would say it's a clear 50-50 split between the single player narrative and the online multiplayer suite. Xenoverse occupies a very unique genre of space because it has a definite high engaging campaign, but it also functions as a massive online sandbox to tackle with friends. Both sides of the game receive an equal amount of deep focus and development resources. Can players take part in the main story mode seamlessly online with their friends, or is that strictly reserved to the multiplayer missions? The main story mode is structurally designed as a dedicated single player experience, much like in Xenoverse 1 and 2. This campaign is focused entirely on the GS squad dynamics, your custom avatar's unique journey, and exploring the narrative. However, there's an entirely separate massive pool of co op and competitive missions specifically tailored for the online environment. Personal identity has always been the heart of Xenoverse series. What you can tell us about the character creation and customization? This is an interesting one, right? So, character customization is the absolute core pillar of the franchise. Players want to express exactly how they want to be when entering the Dragon Ball universe. To facilitate that, the range of customization options in Xenoverse 3 is significantly wider than the first two games. That's nice. This mechanical expansion extends heavily into fighting styles. In past entries, player builds felt rigid. This time, you want to accommodate highly specific combat desires. If you want to play a long-range Zuning style like Frieza, an aggressive close-up brawler like Goku, or use unique team tactics like the Ginyu Force, the suite is built to support those individual preferences. That's pretty awesome, right? How many different fighting styles and characters races have you showcased so far? And can you tease how many more are planned for the launch? When we initially mapped the development, we experimented with a traditional subtraction style system, meaning choosing strict locked character classes that limit what you can do. However, that in the world of Dragon Ball, every single character ultimately wants to become the ultimate multi-talented warrior. Because of that, we shifted completely to an addition style system. Instead of locking you into narrow archetypes, players have the absolute freedom to dynamically swap different styles, attributes, and styles in and out, empowering them to craft whatever type of custom warrior they can imagine. I love that because that means that I don't have to create different characters to kind of like try different styles. With one character, I can just change my build, and maybe you can even save different builds, of course, with different stats and different abilities. And that's really awesome because that way you can, play a bit better. Does a custom character height or physical size affect their movement speed or maximum health? No. Physical dimensions do not impact your baseline stat or attributes this time around. When you look at the source material, if in Dragon Ball, being physically massive doesn't automatically make a fighter slow, and being tiny doesn't mean you are fragile. speedster, right? Characters break those rules constantly. We wanted to completely separate cosmetic visual expression from gameplay stats, giving players total freedom to look how they want without worrying about optimized penalties. If a player wants to completely change their character's appearance or mechanical build down the line, can they do so freely? Or will you still be required to gather the Dragon Balls to make that wish? You definitely will not have the completely to, you will definitely do not will not have to completely delete your progress and start over from scratch just to alter your character. We have built a lot of latitude into the systems to let players adjust and tweak their builds. That said, we still want your character's growth choices to carry on a certain weight, pride, and sense of permanence, so it won't be entirely trivialized. So most likely that means that maybe you will not be able to change like some of the um, physical aspects, but potentially the actual build, like in terms of how you want to change your skills or special abilities, that will be potentially available. In the Western communities, a very popular meme customization trend is to take an iconic hero like Vegeta and recreate him perfectly, except for one addition, giving him a gun. Will weapons like guns be available as accessory or fighting style in Xenoverse 3? Custom accessories are a massive part of the player identity, and we are absolutely bringing that element back from the previous games. I will honestly have to double check with the asset team to see if a sidearm accessory is specifically in the current build. If so, players could find live out their ultimate fantasy, sorry, live out their ultimate fantasy of playing the iconic power level 5 farmer with a shotgun. This is an incredible request. I am absolutely taking that back to the development team as a vital community feedback. Turning back to multiplayer, players love a strict endgame challenge. Can we expect options to replay missions at scaled up difficulties or at higher tier challenges are kept separate endgame activities? While our baseline missions are individually balanced for a smooth progression curve, we have designed highly specific brutal challenges for advanced players. While you step into high tier encounters, the enemy AI shifts dramatically. Bosses utilize completely unique movement patterns, advanced behavior loops, and custom cinematic supers that force your squad to communicate and coordinate strategies to survive. The Broly fight gave you a first look at the new soul shifting mechanic. How did you go about deciding which specific characters from the franchise history would be able to utilize via soul shifting? Um, I can't talk about the exact roster composition as of yet, but you can look forward seeing characters like Future Trunks and other staples highlighted in upcoming information drops. Soul shifting is fundamentally about giving players the ultimate tool to break combat open, whether that means triggering a character specific awakening or dynamically calling in an icon roster fighter to alter the match rhythm. Throughout Dragon Ball history, there are dozens of different chronological variations of Goku alone. With soul shifting, will players be selecting a generalized Goku, or will they be able to pick specific historical iterations of him? Our core global goal of the mechanic is to provide an incredible, deep array of variations. Goku is the absolute thematic anchor of the entire franchise, and in the Dragon Ball Xenoverse 3, the specific relationship between Goku and your custom avatars forms a massive backbone to the experience. We are creating a broad system for him, so please look forward to future updates detailing exactly how this operates. So we don't know as of yet. Goku will be a special feature in the game. Will there be characters or content from Dragon Ball GT or Dragon Ball Daima crossing over into the game at launch? Because our sandbox is rooted squarely in a brand new timeline within Age 1000, how we explicitly bridge the gap to past anime series and spin offs is a closely guarded secret for now. However, the future settings gives us a clean slate to incorporate elements elegantly, so stay tuned. Since players are fighting alongside an iconic and against iconic characters, will legendary or historical battles from the original manga or anime show up as playable set pieces? Since our narrative is set entirely in the future, how those classic beloved historical clashes manifest within our campaign requires a very clever logical explanation. We have spent an immense amount of time ensuring everything makes sense, narrative wise, right? And the way those historical battles cross over is something we are eager to for fans to see. Do you still host the classic World Tournament arts in H1000? This is something we are keeping under wraps for a future announcement. So obviously that means that there is going to be a tournament in the game. Fair enough. Can you touch upon the projected length of the game? How many hours can players expect to put in a story mode, and what does the multiplayer volume look like at launch? For a standard playthrough of the main story, players can expect roughly 20 to 30 hours of cinematic campaign content depending on their pace. On the multiplayer side, the launch volume is already massive, but our long term plan is to treat this as a living world. We are preparing a robust post launch roadmap packed with community events, drops, and consistent content updates to keep the community thriving. That's crazy, guys. So that means that we're going to get lots of stuff, maybe like every month, right? Can you share any broad philosophies regarding your roadmap goals for Dragon Ball Xenoverse 3? While I can't detail specific seasonal content, our structural vision is completely locked in. Oh, this is about the crossplay, where we talked about this one already. Speaking of living in the world, we caught a brief look at the customizable player apartments in the social hub. Can players customize those spaces and invite their parties inside? I can't dive into specifics of room mechanics today, but we are heavily prioritizing expanded social features. Looking back at Xenoverse 1 and 2, we noticed that players took immense pride in treating their custom character screen like a business card, taking screenshots, sharing builds, and showing off their style with the community. We want to learn heavily from that behavior and maybe like obviously showcase exactly how who they are with their peers. Will there be any legacy save data bonuses for players who with active save profiles from Xenoverse 2, for example, or Sparking Zero? We understand that the Dragon Ball gaming community is incredibly loyal, and many players have spent years supporting our past titles. We are actively evaluating and exploring cross promotional rewards and save data recognition systems to honor the long term dedication. So maybe you're going to get some sort of like customizable items, some, color schemes, whatever from previous games. To wrap things up, so players can plan ahead, what is your current target release window for the and which platforms? You're officially targeting a 2027 release window, and it will be available on the major platforms. So that's really good stuff. So yeah, guys, that was a very nice interview, to be honest, and it kind of confirms a lot of good stuff. So effectively, we know for sure now that the game is going to be quite massive. In terms of combat, I know some people are not fully convinced. I personally am not fully convinced myself either, because it looks very similar to Kakarot in many ways. But maybe they're going to improve it. They're going to flesh it out. They're going to add more oomph to it, right? So time will tell. But so far so good, and yeah, no, this looks pretty damn interesting. And honestly, the fact that they are adding like maybe in total there's going to be like 7 races or even more at launch, that is freaking awesome, guys, and yeah, it's pretty amazing. So yeah, that's it for today's video. As always, guys, I shall see you later in the next ones. Bye.